Scroll Toyota, leading the way every day. And Scroll Toyota, symbols of trust.
According to data provided by REV TAX to Senator Mike Nicholas's office, there is about $169 million in accounts receivable or uncollected taxes.
The $169 figure is right now, it's not an accurate figure. I believe we mentioned that the last time we met, Mr. Chair, because we're reconciling, thank you, reconciling our accounts receivable with DOA. That figure is exaggerated at this point. The average accounts receivable for the past 20 years has been 80 to $100 million. I'd like to say also that 50 million is the average collected per year.
REV TAX
And
Deputy
what
Director
happens is
Marie
every
Benito
time-
says that the average in unpaid taxes has been about $80 to $100 million a year for the past 20 years, and they collect about 50 million of that on average per year. Benito says it's been difficult to collect these taxes because of a lack of personnel and because some are just unable to pay.
On the subject of the Criminal Investigation Branch, when was the last successful case pursued by that branch with any recoveries?
I can't remember, maybe early 90s.
Early 90s.
Right.
So since the 1990s, this branch has been operating in the Department of Revenue and Taxation, and we have not had any recoveries since the 90s with that branch performing.
Right, because in the past few years, it's always been bare bones in that branch. They lack training. Right now, we have four staff, and most of them, 3 of them needs training. They're just new. So they need training, and what they've been doing in the past is assisting with other investigations, and they also conduct the internal investigations for the department.
That really is very concerning, because when we have $11 million of the people's money with all those obligations that are due, increments, back pay, law enforcement pay adjustments, when we have all those obligations, we need to be making every effort to pursue those monies. And for the Criminal Investigation Branch, since the early 90s, not having any recoveries, very problematic.
Benito says that they want to fix the problem by addressing training, something they plan on doing before the end of the year. Also, the IRS will begin working jointly with REV TAX, and this will allow some of their employees to pick up the skills and experience needed in the field. Senator Nicholas asked when the last time there was an asset seizure due to non-payment of taxes.
The last time that I recall was in early 90s, and it was a vehicle, and it was criminal investigation that identified that asset, and together we went and seized that asset.
So it wasn't. So the last criminal investigation recovery that we've had was in the early 90s, and the last time we've had any asset seizures was in the early 90s.
Correct.
Another issue brought up was that past due taxes that reach the statute of limitations are no longer tracked. This means there's no way to know the exact amount of money that has been lost over the past 20 years. Also, St. Nicholas took issue with the fact that the penalties for non- or late payment of taxes can be waived with the signature of the director.
That kind of concerns me a little bit, because when all it takes is one signature to waive a penalty, it's pretty frightening that it could be in any amount, and it's just one person having to sign off on it, and bam, there goes who knows how much. And the checks and balances are very, very thin in making sure that we're not just waiving for certain interest groups, or waiving because this is my friend, or we're waiving penalties because somebody called me and told me to waive these things. So
Okay, and again, we do apply due diligence. We don't just waive anything just because it comes up. We review it, and if it's for a good cause or justifiable, then we'll do it. But I've seen some being rejected. I've seen some being questioned and not signed off.